like to get I like to get to know each and every one of us joining. So I'd like to know where we're joining from, and then this is how we're gonna do it here, right? So if you're gonna be putting in the chat where you're joining from, and then yeah, where you're joining from, your country you're joining from, your location, and then your name. So I want to get to know us. I've told you my name. My name is Moses Joshua. So I'd like to get to know us at least before we get started with the section for today. So I'll be checking the chat to see how many of us are in the section for today to get to know us. All right, so who wants to go first? And all right, so we have one person, the icebreaker, D. D said his name is Amos from Nigeria, Lagos. D, nice to have you on the call today. Nice to have you. So who else? Let's wait for us to basically put in theirs. So I'm waiting for others to basically, is it only is it only Amos that is here with me? So who else is here with me? Please put it in the chat. Let's get to know each other. All right, so we have let's go through that. All right, so who else do we have here? Okay, we have Fisayo. We have Fisayo from Bristol, United Kingdom. Nice to meet you, Fisayo. We have Adenike from Lagos, Nigeria. Nice to have you here also, Adenike. Nice to have everyone else. So as now I've gotten to know Adenike, I've gotten to know Amos, I've gotten to know Fisayo. Nice to have you guys on the call today. So if today is your first time joining, you can put a one in the chat. Let me know how many of us join. If you can chat, we have Tijani also. Tijani Adenike, one. Right? We have Fisayo also. Nice, nice. So if today is not your first or any other number, so that okay, so we have Tijani first time. So we'll just get going while others join us as we go on, right? All right. So now, so I've gotten to know a lot of people, and I know we have few people here that are basically joining for the first time, which is great. So who are we bringing this section to us today? Who are we bringing this section? So I would like to tell little bit about us, right? So who are we? We are Ten Analytics, an edtech company that focused on providing specialized training in technology skills and delivering comprehensive data and consulting service. So all the others are saying is we're an edtech company that helps people, that trains people in technology skills, technology skills, and we've been doing this for over 5 years now. And we've helped over 3,500 people transition from their 9 to 5 jobs to their first tech role across the UK, the US, Canada, Europe, Africa, and Asia. So we are not new to this, right? So we are really good at what we do. So we are committed in making, and we have programs that run through the data analytics, we have the business analysis, we have data engineering, we have data science, we have financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project management, and Scrum Master. We have cybersecurity, we have product design, and finally we have DevOps engineering. So these are all the programs we offer here at Analytics. So if you are coming in, you are coming in fully packed. We are going to be helping you. We are bringing in this program, we are basically going to be teaching you from beginning to end, right?
Hi,
So,
Moses.
all right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So we're struggling to see. Please put it on slideshow mode. Thank you.
Thank you for notifying me on that. Sorry. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So as I was saying before, sorry about that. So our team of instructors from we have team of instructors from leading companies like the Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and so on, right? So they bring in their wealth of knowledge and experience and bring it to class to teach us, to engage us, give us practical learning experience, ensure that we receive the maximum value from our investments. So this is we. Now, who is the person speaking to you? I've already said my name already. My name is Moses Joshua, a senior Agile associate here at Analytics with several years of experience in project management, right? So this is just a little bit about me. So let me don't bore you because I'll still be the one talking to you for a while before my participants come in or my colleague come in. And her name is also Elizabeth Nana. And who is Elizabeth Nana? She is a product manager, senior agile project manager, and a clarity coach here at Analytics. And with half a decade of experience in product and project management. So she's good at what she also does. So Elizabeth is a skilled leader and a coach for the skilled leader and a coach for Agile team, consistently driving impactful results as a clarity coach. So, and she has trained over 1,000 professionals across 4 continents, and she has experience that spans through multiple sectors. So she's not just bringing in just one knowledge here. She's coming from different sectors, from the health tech, from fintech, from edutech, right? So she's fully packed, and she's also going to be speaking to us today. Now, let's get into what we are going to be doing for today. What are we doing for today? Firstly, we are going to be looking at who is a project manager and a business analyst, right? Then we'll move right into how we write a user story with JIRA. And after that, we we talk about the analytics strategic plan to help you secure that's your job. And then finally, we'll show you our special discount offer for you today. So stick with us till the end of this program, and I can assure you that you're not going to regret it at all, right? So now let's get right into what we have for today. So what we are going to be doing today is before we go right into talking about user stories and so on, we need to know who project manager is and who a business analyst is. Now, who is a project manager? In simple term, a project manager is someone that leads a project. He leads a project. He manages a project, right? They make sure that the project is being delivered on time and within schedule and budget. And they make sure that the project is being executed perfectly. Now, and so that's just the simplest way to break down who a project manager is, right? Now, who is now a business analyst? A business analyst analyzes what is needed. Now, let's put it like this, right? You want to start a business. And what's the first thing you do? You first of all check the layout. Okay, this business I'm trying to go into, what is this business about? You do an analysis, you do a background check of the niche you want to enter into. That business you want to do, you need to check, oh, who are the people in this niche? Is this niche going to be productive? Am I going to be making profits here? Is it a niche that people want to come into? Right? You need to do all this background check. You need to do the strength, check the strength of the business, check the weakness, check the competitors, and check the opportunities. And this is the need of the business, and they identify the business problem and focus on how to solve this problem, right? So this is what business analyst what is wrong and how to it, how to move forward, know people, know weaknesses in your business, then you provide a solution. While a project manager focuses on project itself, making sure that the project is being completed within the allocated time and then within the allocated budget. And both of them, both the project manager and analyst, the both of them use the user story. Then now let's get into user story. What is a user story? When we hear the word user story, what comes to our head? I want to see it in the chat. Who has an idea? When you hear the word user story, what comes to your mind first? I'm checking now. If you hear the word user story, what comes to your mind? Someone wants to give an answer. What comes to your mind? Just put anything. Let me know. All right. So are you guys still with me here? All right. So the present means what comes to mind is what? Project planning. What comes to mind when you hear of user story is project planning. Good. That's good one, Fisayo. Lola said when you hear the word user, it simply means the things a user would like to see in a product or they want to be able to do in a product. That's very good, Lola. That's a nice one. Nice one. That's great. So Freedom said pinpoints. Nice one, Freedom. That's good. Now let's get right to it. When they hear the word user story, it simply means a short, simple description of a feature who the person who desires the new capability. All what this is saying is a short, simple description of a feature from the user's perspective, from the customer's perspective, right? The person that wants to use it. And these customers, these users, they are mostly called the end users, right? So a user story is, oh, you as a project manager or you as a business analyst, you want to write a user story, right? You put yourself in their shoes. Okay, what do my audience want? What do my customers want? Then you would use that to write the user story. So I also have Olumide here said, user stories are short, simple description of a feature or functionality told from the perspective of the end user. Nice one, Olumide. That's a great one. That's a great one. So here's an example. As a shopper, I want to save items to a wish list so I can buy them later. So this is an example of how user story is, but I'll explain how they come about, this structured way of writing a user story. I'll still get right into that for today. But before we go into that, we need to talk about what an end user is. You know, we'll put it there, an end user. What is an end user? An end user is basically the actual person who will use the product or the future. That's why we need to write a user story in their own perspective. Because when we create the product, we are not the one going to use it. They are the ones going to be using it. The end users, our customers, they'll be the one using it. That's why most apps, when you go to Play Store, when you go to Apple Store, you'll see most apps, they'll tell you, okay, give us your feedback, give us your honest review, rate us, right? They want to hear your feedback so that they will be able to know what they can work on. What are the things you are complaining to? Because they want to build it to your own taste. You are the people they want to satisfy, the end users at the end of the day. Understanding their needs helps ensure solution delivers real value. So if you're able to understand what the end user wants, you'll be able to know or build something that will suit their tastes. That is basically how it is. Now we've talked about end user. The next thing I'll also point out is what? An epic. All these are basically terminologies that is used as an agile project manager. These are terminologies used, right? So what is an epic? Just forget, oh, epic. What comes to mind is for project management, when we talk about epic, it simply means a large body of work that can be broken down into smaller user stories. In simpler terms, It simply means when you have two or more user stories that are related coming together, right? When you have two or more user story in themselves, that is what makes up an epic. It's more like saying you have a group. Sometimes I use it like this to make it easier to understand. It's more like a group. You know, we all know what groups is now. If they say they group you as male and females, we group you male and females. You know that when you're under males, you have unique features that make you fall under that male categories. And if you fall under the female category, you know that there are unique features that makes you fall under the female categories. Both of them can be an epic because for you to call it a group, you must have more than one person under that group. So you must have two, three, and so on for it to become a group. If it's just one person, it is not a group. It's just that single person's name. But if you have two, three boys under that boys group, that means, oh, this is a group. Same thing as epic. If you have two, three user stories under it, that makes it an epic. But if it is just a single user story, that is just a user story. So that I'm just trying to break it down. So now, example of this wish list functionality. Under wish list functionality, it could be containing stories like add an item to wish list, remove item, then view. All these are single user stories. I'll also explain to you how we can write user stories, but let's calm down and follow me as I go on, right? So wish list functionality is like a heading. The way I said boys is like the group name. Wish list functionality is like the group name. And don't forget, it's also an epic. Now, it has some other things under it. There is no one tax under it. Wish list functionality is just like a group name. So what are the things under it? These are the one action item, like add an item to wish list. That is a user story. The next one is remove item. That's a user story. And the third one is view wish list. That is also a user story. One thing I'll point out to us before we move on is when we hear the word user story, simply means for a user story, it always comes with one action. But we'll get into that when go to the next slide. Now, let's come to the anatomy of a good user story. That means how to know and write a good user story, right? The first thing is what? The format. The format that is being used to write a user story. The format that is being used to write a user story. And when I want to write a user story, what I do is I use the three W's. I use the three W. It makes it easier, right? Three W's. What do I mean by three W's? It simply means the who, the what, and then the why. I'll go again. The who, the what, and then the why. Now, let me explain what I mean by the first one. So I'll start with the first W, which is the who. So when you want to write user story, there's a format that's already been created. And the reason for this format is so that to make it easier for us to write user stories, makes it easier, faster. You don't need to start cracking your head. How do I write it? It's already a template. All you need to do is fixing the right things you want to do inside the template already. Now, how do you know what to fix in? The first part is what? As a user. Now, that user in the bracket is the first W, which is the who. So since you are writing a user story in the perspective of the user, you need to put the user that wants to use it. So you can say as a customer or as a new user also, you have to put yourself, that person you are mimicking, you have to put the person here, right? In the perspective of the user. Next is what? The next W, which is the what? The what. That's where the action comes in. Now you've represented it as the user. Now the action that user wants to be done, that is the next part, the action. That is where comes with, I want to, you put in the action. I want to do something. This is where the action is going to be. Like the example we gave before, I want to add to wish list. I want to add to wish list. Something like that is the user story. You put yourself as the who. The first one is the who. The next one is the what. What do they want to do? I want to do something. You put it there. And don't forget, as I've said before, it is only one action that can be put in a user story. If you start having things like, I want to create an account, I want to also log in an account, that's having two user stories already, creating and then logging in an account. So don't forget, user story, one action item. And then the last W is what? The why, the reason why. What is the benefit? What do I gain? What should they benefit at the end of it? So that they put it there. As a user, I want to be able to, you put what you want to do, and then the reason why you want to do it. That's where they so that. And this is the formula. As a, you put it there, I want to, you put it there, and then so that you put the benefit there. We'll go more into this when we enter our JIRA, right? But for now, let's go on with this. The next thing that is important when you want to write your user story is what? The acceptance criteria. The acceptance criteria. The acceptance criteria. And what do we mean when we say acceptance criteria? It simply means the conditions that needs to be met. The conditions that needs to be met for you to say this user story is complete. What are the things I need to see for me to say this user story, oh, I like it, is complete? That is what acceptance criteria simply means. They define the boundaries and expected behavior of the future. They define the boundaries. So if I'm going to a restaurant and I want to get food, let me use a simple scenario to explain this. I go to a restaurant, I want to order food. The next thing is, when I sit down, a waiter comes to me with a paper and a pen, and they ask me, what do I want? So as they ask me, what do I want? They are ready to take my user story. I'm the end user at that moment. They want to take my user story with the pen and paper, and I'll tell them what I want. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Probably I say rice. I want rice, I want chicken, and I want probably a soda by the side. And they go back and they prepare this for me. Now, that is how a user story work. They have to bring exactly what I ordered. Now, for me to accept what they bring, that is where the acceptance criteria comes in. If they bring the food, the things I must see there for me to be able to affirm that this food is exactly what I ordered. I have to see, first of all, I have to see the rice, the exact rice I ordered. Next, I have to see the chicken. And then the next one, I have to see the soda I ordered. So if I see these three things, I know that this acceptance criteria has been fulfilled. This acceptance criteria has been fulfilled. And then this user story is completed. I can move on to the next user story. Is that good? Next thing is what? Next thing you need to know is what? The key features or the key attributes. And one thing I want you to know is all these things can still be explained in depth, right? All you need to do is just take the program with us, the Agile project management or the business analysis. All this will be broken down even more further for you. And you'll be able to gain more insights concerning user stories and the usefulness of it. But I'll still be giving you snippets of it to understand the in-depth of how it is. Now, there are some key things to note when key attributes to use to know, okay, this is a good user story. The first thing is what the user story must be independent, meaning it must have that one action item. Next, it must be negotiable. Next, it must be valuable. Next, estimable. It must be small. When we say small, we already know the reason why it's small. We said it from our definition. It must be brief, right? Because of it has just one action item. You don't need to put something long in user story. It's just something short so that they will know what you're saying. And then finally, it must be testable. And this is where you use your acceptance criteria to test it. Okay, is this meeting the criteria that was set for this user story? All right, so now let's go on to the next. Is what? What are some of the common mistakes that have been made? Common mistakes that have been made when you want to write a user story. Common mistake. The first one is what? Writing system tasks instead of user goal. writing the user goal, that means what does the user want at the end of the day, right? The next common mistake is mixing multiple stories into one. You know, I mentioned it before. When you start mixing 2 or 3 stories because of, oh, you don't want to separate it, that's no longer a user story. It is now an epic because it's now forming a group, having 2 or more user stories inside it, right? Next is what? Vague or missing acceptance criteria. As you can see, the acceptance criteria is also important to be there, right? And I've also explained to you how the acceptance criteria is. Don't forget, this is just a snippet of everything, right? If you want to get more understanding about this, all you need to do is just take that course, and then all this will be fully broken down for you. What are the next common mistake is what? Focusing on how instead of what and why. Focusing on is how should this be done, or how should we achieve this instead of the what. The what is the action. I want this. I want this, and then the reason why they want it. Focusing on, and then finally, one of the last common mistake is what? Not involving stakeholders early. You know, when writing user story, you want to write it in their perspective. You need your stakeholders involved, right? So that you don't make mistake thinking, oh, I know what they are thinking, right? And you just end up writing. At the end of the day, it's your own perspective that you're writing from, not the people that want to use it at the end of the day, the end users, right? That is why it is important. Now, these are some of the things that can be touched. Now, let's go into JIRA and then see how to basically create a user story and write the acceptance criteria. Let's go into that. I'll be changing my screen now. Okay. All right. So you guys could be able to see my JIRA now. If you guys can see it, please use a thumbs up. Use a thumbs up if you can see the JIRA board. Thumbs up if you can see the JIRA board. Are you guys still here with me? Use any emojis if you can see it. Let me know you guys are still here with me. I'm not seeing any emojis here. Have I lost a lot of people here? Guys, I'm not seeing. Can you guys not see my screen? So check
How
that.
is it we can? We're giving you a lot of reactions. I don't think you can see it, but we can see your screen.
Oh, sorry about that, I think. All right, that's good. Let's get right into it. Okay. Someone said, how can we download this version you're using? Basically, it's just your browser. Go to your search engine and then search for JIRA, and you'll be able to do that. It's as easy as that. You don't need to download. You are 2 ways. It's either you download the software or you go through your search engine and navigate to JIRA using your browser. Yeah, so that is it. All right, so now let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Now, this is how the JIRA looks like, and I've taken the opportunity to create like a demo class for today, right? So the first part is, this is how our board looks like. And if we want to create user story, what do? We go to backlog. And don't forget, when creating your user story, there are different, when creating your JIRA or your project, there are different templates to use when you want to create a project on JIRA. There are different templates to use. So depending on the template you want to use, that is what they are going to provide for you. So the template I'm using here that brought about this is what I use the Scrum. I use the software project manager or software development. I pick the software development template and I pick the Scrum framework. And after doing that, you should be able to get here. Now, this is how our board looks like. On our backlog, sorry, this is how our backlog looks like. In our backlog, you see we have the sprints and we have the backlog. You see I've created some tasks in the backlog. I will not be using this. I will create new ones for us. Yes, so this is our backlog and this is our sprint. So it is when we move from backlog, it will move to sprint. But let's don't go into sprint for today. Let's just work with our backlog. Now, in the backlog, in the backlog, I don't think you can't do that. You have to create a new project, Amos. Now let's get right into it. In the backlog, this is where all your tasks, all your issues are going to be, right? So this is also called the product backlog. The sprint at the top is called the sprint backlog. This one is called the product backlog. Now let's get right into it. If I want to create a task or an issue on the backlog, what do? I come to the create at the top here and I click on the plus sign. So if I click on the plus sign, a card comes up for me. A card comes up and I'll be able to pick what kind of work type do I want to use. What kind of work type do I want to use? I'll click here and then I'll select a story. I'll select a story. You see that we have different work types. This can also be called issues. This can also be called issues. Depend if there is no epic, the story, the bug, and the task, they can be called issues. But this one is more like work types. So now we want to make use of the story. So I'll click on the story. The reason why we're using story is because it's a user story we want to create. So it depends on what we want to do. That's what we are going to be creating with, right? So if it's a bug type you want to create, you just click on the bug and then you create a bug type. If it's tax type you want to create, you just click on the tax and then create it. So now it's a story we want to create. So just click on this. Now, what do I want to work on? So here is the demo I want to work on, or the scenario I want to work on. And I know all of us can relate to this easily, right? The scenario is on a new user visits a platform and uses its core feature. This is more like the scenario. So now here is how it sounds like. Here's the scenario. So you guys can follow me. So let me just explain the scenario for us. You are a new user for a platform, let's say Facebook or Instagram, right? Or any of the social medias. You are a new user, right? You want to sign up to their platform. They want to write a user story based on your own perspective. So what do you want them to do? You want them to create a user story for when you want to sign up, right? You create a user story for when you want to sign up, create a user story for when you want to sign into the account, user story for you when you want to view your dashboard or your profile, and so on. These are all the features that in the app or the platform that they want to build, or for this scenario are building, right? This is all the scenario. So now the first thing we want to do is what? The first task we have is what? Create a user story for the registration. You want to sign up, right? So it's called user registration. I want to first of all register. So all of us are going to be going with me for this, right? We'll be working together, especially when we want to create the acceptance criteria, because I know all of us must have opened an account one time or the other, right? So the first thing is what we want to create a user story for user registration. That means someone that wants to register to an account newly. That is the first thing we're going to be creating on. Now, let's get right into it. So the first thing is what I'll create for user registration, user registration, and then I'll click on the create. Don't forget on JIRA, there are so many other things you can do on JIRA, so many other things, so many other. But today we'll just focus on creating a user story, one or two user stories, depending on our time, right? So now we've created the user story. it should be here, but if you don't see it immediately after it's been created, you click on the refresh to refresh it. Immediately refresh it, it loads up, and then give it a minute. All right, you scroll down, you see it created here, user story. Now you click on it. When you click on it, it automatically pops up a card by the side. You see a card by the side, means that you want to fill in some details here. Now we'll now go to our description. Description is basically we want to describe the user story and then the acceptance criteria. What should they do? The person that is coming to this board now, the developer that is coming to this board now, he sees user registration. He clicks on it. He should be able to see what you guys want him to do. That's where the user story and the acceptance criteria comes in. So now the first thing we want to do is what? We'll create a section for user story, because that's what we want to create for first. Now, how do we write the user story? Don't forget, this is a new user trying to register. A new user trying to register. So what do? We'll start with the templates that we have before as the person that wants to register newly is called a new user. As a new user, you put your comma. Are you there with me? So now after that, you now go with the next one. What is the action they want to perform? What is the action? I want to create an account. I want to create an account. Now, this is the action. You see, just one action. There's no two actions there. Now, the reason why. Why do you want to create an account? So that I can log in and have personalized, so I can basically log in and have access to dashboard. So that I can log in and have access to the features. Now, this is basically how it is. Don't forget, first one is you put yourself in the user's perspective, and after then you write the action. What do you want to do? And after putting your action, the next thing is what? The reason why. This is basically how it is. Now, for acceptance criteria, what would the acceptance criteria now looks like? So now I know all of us must have registered or signed up one time or the other. So what are the things that you need to see for you to say, okay, oh, this sign up process or this registration process is a success? So I'll start first. So before I start, I'll just put the title acceptance criteria. So I'll put it here, acceptance criteria. Yes, so I have this here, acceptance criteria. I'll highlight it and then bold it up so that we can see it. But I want to put it in bullet points to make it more detailed, right? I want to put it in bullet points. So now the first one is what? The first one is what? This is like the easiest way to write acceptance criteria, like the easiest way. There is you can also use formula, but I prefer this because this one is easier for you to relate with it. It's easier to relate. Now, how do you go about it? You put yourself in the shoe. You want to register. What is the things you need to see first of all? The first thing is what? I need to have like a register form available. There should be a register form available. I should see a register form. So I'll just pick it out so that I don't waste our time for today. So I'll put it here. Okay. So a registration form is available with fields for name, email, and password. So when I want to register, I should see a registration form first of all that should have where I could put my name, where I can put my email, and then where I should put my password. So immediately I want to register and I see this first board pop up where I can put my name, email, and password. I know that this acceptance criteria, the first one has been checked. That means this first one is good to go. Now, what is another one that can be included? Let me see if anyone put it in the chat. Let me see if anyone tried. All right, so no one. Now let's go. The next one is going to be, oh, what is another thing I want to be able to see? What is another thing I should be able to know? The system checks that all the fields are filled. The system checks that all the fields are filled. You know that when you want to register to an account, if there are some parts that are asterisk, you see them asterisk red. If you don't feel that, you can't move on. So now that is an acceptance criteria for this platform, meaning that if you leave those places blank, you can't click on the create button. So this is it. The system checks that all the fields are filled in. This is another acceptance criteria. So if this is fulfilled, you know that, okay, this is good to go. What is another one that can be added to it? You take it one step at a time. Start from the form, then go to, if the form is not filled, you go to the next one. Okay, the next one is the email. The email must be in valid format. You cannot just type anything and then send it and it should accept it. The next one is the email must be in valid format. One thing I want you to also know is that when you are creating this as a project manager, as a business analyst, you are not the only one working on it yourself. You are not the only one. So I know you might be wondering, oh, how do I know all this in my head? How do I decide to write all this? How do I get the scope to write all this, right? You work with your team. You also work with your stakeholder, right? These are the people that would eventually know, the people that are going to work on it, the developer, the designers, and all. Let them decide. Your stakeholders, everyone should come together and then you guys talk about it. They'll know, okay, these are the things to be done. Now, what is another thing that must be included? Oh, the password. The password must be at least 6 characters. If I don't see 6 characters, the password should not go through. The password must have at least 6 characters. So I'll put it in there also. And then finally, what is another acceptance criteria that can be there? Upon successful login or upon successful registration, the user is redirected to the login page or the dashboard. So you can have this. So you can have it, you can write the acceptance criteria based on what you want. You can also add, upon registration, I want an email to be sent to, I want the mail to be sent to my email for confirmation. Something like that. That's also an acceptance criteria. So all this can be included in your acceptance criteria. When it's detailed, it makes it much more easier for when they want to test the user story that has been worked on. If they want to test that feature after it has been developed, it is easier to test it. Now, this is basically how it is. So there are so many other features in JIRA which we might not be able to touch today. So many others. But for now, we'll go with this. So after you're done, you just click on save. And immediately you click on save, you see that it has already been placed at the top here. Your user story, your acceptance criteria here. So anyone that clicks on, any developer or the person that wants to work on this task, immediately they'll click on it, they'll be able to see what is needed to be done and then the acceptance criteria. If they don't see this, if this does not work on the platform that is being built, the feature is not completed yet. You need to go and work on it again. So that's where the quality assurance testers will now come in and they will now start doing their testing. They'll be using all this to check, okay, is this good to go? Is this good to go? Right. So this is the first one. Now, let's say we want to create which one should we create? Now they've been able to register. The next work type we can create, or the next user story we want to create is user login. They have been able to register. Next one is want to create user login. They should be able to log in. Don't forget, I said before, is one action per user story. So if you want to create the next user story, all you need to do is go to the create at the top again, click on create, and then this will still be also story because of that's the one you used last. and then you put in here user login, user login, user login. So we'll just type it in here, user login, user login. And after that, you click on the create. Voila, you have that now sorted. All right. So immediately you put this here, you do the same thing that has been done. You see it at the bottom here, user login. And then you do the same thing. You click on it, a card will pop up by the side, and then you continue. You continue with the description, put in your description the same way we did it before. As a registered, now you are now registered. As a registered user, as a registered user, what do you want to do? I want to log in. I want to log into the platform. And what is the reason why? Why do you want to log in? You now put your reason. You now put your reason there so that I can access my dashboard or so that I can access my account. So that I can access my account. Yes, and now we have this sorted. So now this is us creating the user story. So you put the title and label it so that it's easier. I'll label it the user story. This for me. You can decide to label it or not. So now I'll label it and then you do the same thing for the acceptance criteria. So because of time, I will not be able to go through this again. So this is where I'll be stopping. So now all you need to do is after you're done, you click on this, bam. And that's it. The next thing I want to show us is our epic. You know, we said, oh, epic, epic is like a group, right? So how do you put it in epic? You also do the same thing. You come here, you click on create, and then you change the work type. You pick epic. You pick epic. All right, so now the epic you'll now be picking should now be covering for both the user registration and then user sign up, right? Something like that. It should be covering the both of them. I want it to be like what should be used for the both of them. So we can just put it as user. We can put it as user onboarding and profile. Yeah, we can put it as user onboarding and profile or user sign up and profile. User sign up and the profile. Yes, so now with this, you see the work type have been changed to Epic, and then we put it user sign up, user sign up and profile. So after that, you click on create. So after you click on create, you see that for an Epic, it does not show at the bottom here. An Epic does not show at the bottom. That's the difference between an Epic and a that's the difference between an epic and an issue, the ones that are below here. An epic is more like a group. That's why it's not showing here. So all you need to do is click on this place to view your epic. So you just click here. You view your epic panel. So this is it. You can, there's no more things you want to do here because this is more like a group you have for them. So all you need to do is let's go back. Now that I've created an epic for this, I want to add the both of them, the user registration and the user login to the epic. And how do I add that? I simply just go to each of these tags. I simply just go to each of them, click on the user registration. So there are two ways to add it. Is either I click on it, then go to parents. You see, even JIRA calls it parents name. So scroll down, you see parents. All you need to do is click on the parents, and then you see that this is where an epic is. So even JIRA takes the epic like a parent. So it has children under it. So all these ones are like children under the epic. So I pick this one as the epic. So, and I can also do the same thing here. So is either you do it like that, or you click on the plus sign you have here, click on the plus sign, add an epic. You see the options below. You see the options below when you click on add an epic, and then you pick the one you want to use, which is user sign up and profile. And then we have that in here already. So this is basically how it is. So for now, I'll stop here. So any questions? So okay, so I have someone said, how can I download this on JIRA? How can I download JIRA, please? You can basically go to your store on your laptop. I don't know if you use Microsoft or you're using Mac. Go to your store and then click on download. So now I will hand over to my colleague to continue. So hello, Elizabeth. You want to go on?
Hi, Moses. Thank you so much for that insightful session.
All right.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. At least let's just, appreciate Moses. Thank you, Amos. I can see Amos. So please just put an emoji in the chat so Moses knows that you appreciate the time that he took to, just join this session. And thank you, Chiwendu. I can see Chiwendu reacting as well. So very quickly, I'm going to be sharing my screen because I know a couple of us have, we have questions now. I've heard all of these, wonderful things that Moses has shared, but some of us, we still have questions. There's still some things that we would like to know. So yes, I know Moses already just showed you how you can download JIRA, but also as an alternative, if you don't want to download JIRA on your PC, that's your personal computer, you can always access JIRA on your web. All right. So just go on your browser just like this. You can put in, sign up free on JIRA. Right. And just like that, there you have it. So you are able to start using JIRA for free today. Just click on that. Go ahead to create your account and practice everything that Moses has shown you today. So it's very easy. If you don't want to download it, you can access it on the web. All you have to do is go on your browser, whether you use Google, you use Chrome, you use Safari, whatever it is that you use, just go on the web, put in sign up free on JIRA, and you would get some hits on that. All right. So now let's move on to the rest of the session. If you enjoyed everything, that Moses has shared with you today, I'm sure the question in your mind is, how do I get started? All right. Now, before I do that, I want to ask, some questions. Now, this session is for people who are aspiring to be either project managers or business analysts. I want to hear from people in the chat. Do you want to be a business analyst or do you want to be a project manager? So if you're aspiring to be a business analyst, put BA in the chat. And if you're just like Fumi, who is looking to be a project manager, you can put PM. Hi, Abibat. Welcome. I see Abibat on the call. Welcome, Abibat. Abibat says BA. I see Tolu. Tolu says BA as well. Dio says BA. Chiwendu says PM. Fantastic. I'm a project manager. Okay, so I'm a bit biased. I'm happy for the people that are saying, PM. Tolu says, can I consult Tenalytics for project? Yes, you can, Tolu. Now, I think what you need right now is, you don't need a session like this. You may need a one-on-one so you can share exactly what type of project you're looking to consult us for. But you can go ahead to book a session, with our professionals on our website, or just indicates that you would like to speak to a professional, and you'll be shared a link so you can book a session so we can have a more interactive, conversation. Now, let's just move on to how to get started. Now, the very first thing you want to do is to select the right career path for you, which I see that a lot of us have already done. Some people have already identified that they want to be business analysts. Some have already identified that they want to be project managers. Okay. Now I'm here to tell you that these two career paths are in demand. So you don't have to worry or stress over, oh, which one should I go for? Should I go for business analysis or should I go for project management? Which one is more in high demand, whether it's in the UK, in the US, or in Canada? I'm here to tell you that both of them are. And, in the midst of all the buzz around AI, we always hear everything about AI. A lot of people are scared that AI is coming to take over your jobs. These are jobs that are secure. All right. The snapshot I'm showing you right now is from the Future of Jobs Reports 2025 from the World Economic Forum. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. All right. You can go online, go on the web, just go on your browser, search World Economic Forum, Future of Jobs Report for 2025. All right. And you'll be able to see the report. You see exactly what I'm showing you. Now, of course, it's an extensive report. Okay. I just took a snapshot to show you the parts or the aspects that would be, useful for you if you're aspiring to be a project manager or a business analyst. So you know that you have absolutely nothing to be scared of when it comes to how stable your job or that career path is. Now, you also want to make sure that you're filling the attendance form. My colleagues are dropping a link to the attendance form in the chat. It is very, very important that you fill it because that's the only way we can have your details in order to be able to share the recording of this session as well as the slides. You can see that I have a lot of wonderful things linked on my slides right now, like the jobs report right now is also linked here. You can see where it says click here to download the full report. So there are a lot of wonderful things. As I walk you through my slides, you see a lot of things linked on the slides that you would like to have access to. Now, in order for you to have access to that, make sure to fill the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat. So I see Fumi. Fumi says, I do not even know what to do. Is it a good idea to switch from data analytics to project management or just progress to data science? So Fumi, my question to you, and I'm going to, answer this, but at the end of the session, we're going to, speak further, but just go ahead to drop the response to this question in the chat. Have you registered for the program already? Are you already a data analyst, looking to upskill? So we'll know how to start the conversation from there. But I'll take your questions right after the session. So once again, make sure to fill the attendance form. You get the recording of this session as well as the slides so that you can watch it over and over and over again. And you can also, especially the part where, Moses walked you through JIRA, you can watch it over and over again. It's yours. Just make sure to fill the attendance form so we have your details and we can share the recording with you. All right, now let's move on. What are the skills that you need right now that would land you a job in 2026? We're going to start with the project management program for, my project managers, my fellow project managers in the house. All right, so what exactly is it that you're going to be learning? What exactly does it entail? Being a project manager. A lot of people think it's just about managing timelines. Oh, I mean, from the name, project manager, all I do is manage projects. Now, it's so much more than that, right? And you're going to be understanding exactly what it entails and what you need to know to become an efficient, agile project manager. Now, we're not talking the traditional project management now. It goes way beyond that. All right. So we also have people who are project managers already, but they need to upskill. Again, the world is constantly evolving and you want to make sure that you don't become redundant. You don't, get left behind. So whenever there are new technologies or new skills that are trending, you want to make sure that you are also there. If they say, these are the new age project managers, you are there with them, right? So now the role of an agile project manager is more like a facilitator or a coach, right? We are facilitators. If you are an aspiring APM, agile project manager, we are facilitators. All right. So you are coaching a team that works on projects using the agile methodology. Now, your job on that team is to ensure that the team follows the core agile principles, the agile methodologies. They understand the core values of the agile methodology, and you're making sure that they deliver their projects, within the three most important parameters when it comes to project management. There are three very, very important things that you want to make sure that your team is ticking when it comes to project management. Now, these three things are the timeline. Every single project has a timeline, right? It could be 6 months, it could be 10 months, it could be 12 months. Now, whatever the timeline is, it is very important. You want to make sure that your team is able to deliver on that project within that timeline. So if the timeline for this project is 12 months and you have a team that you're working with, you want to make sure that the team is able to deliver on that project within that 12-month benchmark. Now, the second parameter is the scope. Now, we always refer to the scope as the boundaries of the project, the boundaries of work of the project. Now, simply put, it is exactly what the customer ordered. So, when Moses was explaining user stories earlier, he used the example of, going to a restaurant and placing an order for a plate of rice, rice, chicken, and, a can of soda. Right. Now, how would you feel if you go into a restaurant today and once you get seated, the waitress or the waiter comes to you and takes your order. They ask you what you want. You tell them you want rice and chicken and you want soda. And then they go to the kitchen and then they come back with, a bowl of soup, maybe pepper soup or, afang soup, and then swallow. Of course, you're going to be mad because that's not what you ordered. Now, that is what the scope, means. You want to make sure that whatever it is that your client or at the end of the day. So client order application, web application, or a website, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that that is exactly what they are getting. A lot of, when you make these requests, it's going to come with different features. They tell you, oh, I want a mobile application that, my users can use or my customers can use to log in their health metrics. They can use it to do this and they can use it to do that. Now, you want to make sure that by the time you deliver that mobile application to them, elapsed, it can do specify that they want. That is your scope. That is the second most important parameter. And the third one is your budget. Every single project has a budget awarded to it. It could be £100,000. It could be £500,000. It could be 1 million, $1 million, whatever it is. You want to now make sure that you are not overspending on that budget. Your team is not overspending on the project. So if we were awarded €1 million for this project, you want to make sure that you're staying within €1 million or $1 million or £1 million, right? Or 1 million Canadian dollars. You just want to make sure you're not spending more than that. So that is, something that shows that you are an efficient and an effective project manager and you know exactly what you're doing. So it is very, very important. Okay. Now, let's talk about the key learning areas. What are all the things that you need to know? What are all the things that you need to be equipped with in order for you to become a good project manager? We start off with the basics, as with any program here at 10 Analytics, whether it's Agile project management or business analysis, you actually get introduced into the program. So we take it from scratch for you. So we do introduction to project management methodologies. What are the different methodologies that we have? In project management, like your waterfall methodology, your agile methodology, and your hybrid. And we don't just teach you these different methodologies, we also teach you how to identify the best methodology to use for a project. All right, now it's not a one size fits all. Okay, so Abibat could get a project right now, and that project, by the time she analyzes the project and she takes a look at it, she's like, I think the best way to go for this project, the best methodology to use for this project would be waterfall. Okay. And then Fumi could get another project. And then by the time Fumi looks at it, she says, I think the best methodology to use for this project is hybrid. All right. So now we're going to teach you how you can identify what methodology suits a project, because there's no one single answer for every single project, right? There are different types of projects and every project has its unique needs. So how do you identify the best type of methodology to use for a project? Then we go into the project management structure. Now, when I talk about the project management structure, I'm talking about the life cycle of your project. What are the different phases that your project must pass through? Okay, in order for you to consider this project a success at the end of the day, in order for you to have a successful project at the end of the day, how do you even go about it? You hear a lot about project management. What do you do? What exactly is it that you do? Now, the project's life cycle. These are the different phases that your project must go through for you to have a successful project at the end. We're going to teach you that. Now I'm talking from your project initiation phase to your project planning phase to your project execution phase, to your project monitoring and control phase, and finally your project closure phase. There are 5 phases, right? And you learn all the different activities and all the different important documentation that you need to prepare in each of these phases. So for example, in the project initiation phase, you learn how to carry out a feasibility study. How do you even know that this project is feasible in the first place? Then you learn how to build your business case, your project charter, how to start to break down your work breakdown structure, break down the work into smaller chunks that the team can work on. Then we move into the planning phase. You learn how to plan your budget. So yes, you got $1 million, but how do you ascertain how you spend that $1 million? You need to have a budget. Liken it to us having a monthly budget. If my monthly budget for groceries, right, is, let's say, £200, okay, or $250. That's my monthly budget for groceries. I want to be able to sit down and say, okay, so I'm going to spend $50 on vegetables. I'm going to spend $50 on fresh food. So meat, turkey, fish, and all of that fun stuff. Now you have to allocate money well, because if you don't do that, you run the risk of overspending on your project and you will not even be aware. So you need to sit down and, have a spreadsheet and break down this $1 million that you got for the budget, break it down to the last penny. This is how we're going to spend. This $100 is going to go to this. This is how much we're going to use to hire staff. This is how much we're going to use to, get machinery for this project, and so on and so forth. Now we're going to teach you how to do that as well. We go into your project execution phase. So how do you start to assign tasks to your team members, assign tasks, and how do you follow up? Execution and monitoring go hand in hand. How do you monitor the progress of this project? All right, using your tools like your JIRA, your Trello. How do you do this? And then finally, your project closure phase. How do you close a project? How do you get the official documentation and then hand over this project to the client? You're going to be learning all of this in class. Next, we move on to project management skills and communication. Now, what are some of the skills that are very, very, very important for you to have as a project manager? What are some of the skills that, if you don't have it, I'm sorry, you are not a project manager. You're going to learn all these different skills and also how you can tailor your communication to fit your audience. All right, now there's something called tailoring communication. A lot of people don't know this, but you always have to adjust your communication, depending on the kind of people that you're speaking to. So for example, you see Moses at the start of the session. For people who were here at the beginning, Moses asked, if this is your first time, at a 10 Analytics Masterclass, put a 1 in the chat. All right. Now that question was very strategic in order to understand the kind of people in this session. Are you newbies? Are you beginners? So we know how to address you. Now, if people were putting 5, 10, then we know that, okay, you are not new to this. Okay. And then of course, we'll not need to start breaking down things too much, but if we've identified that, okay, these people are new, or at least majority of the people on the call are new, then you know how to speak to, people that have never heard about this thing before in a way that they'll understand. So now the same thing applies to project management. You have different types of stakeholders, right? You have a stakeholder that you already know that, this man, his head is very hot. There's a way you speak to them. There's a way you handle difficult stakeholders or difficult clients, right? There's a way you approach them. Now, the way you will handle a stakeholder or a project sponsor, for example, the way you communicate with a project sponsor, the kind of communication channels you open with a project sponsor will be different from the kind of communication channels you open with a developer or a designer. Now, you're going to learn how to tailor your communication to fit your audience. Then we move on to the foundations of Agile and Scrum. What exactly is the Agile methodology? We just saw a snippet. Trust me, Agile is so much broader than, what Moses just walked you through, the first 30 minutes of this session. You are able to understand exactly what the Agile methodology is. What are the different frameworks that we have, under the Agile methodology? And then we now do a deep dive into the 2 most popular ones, the Scrum framework and the Kanban framework. Global organizations are using these frameworks. Now you understand these 2 popular frameworks end to end. That's where the term Scrum Master comes from. A Scrum Master is someone who has perfected Scrum, who understands the Scrum framework, knows how to apply it to projects. So you're going to learn the Scrum framework from everything you need to know from your Scrum artifact. Now, when I talk about artifacts, I'm talking about your sprints. Must have heard Moses talk about the sprints, the product backlog. I'm sure some people are like, what is this saying? It sounds like Latin. Now you're going to learn everything understand all the concepts, all the things that are involved in the Scrum framework, from your artifacts to writing user stories, which is the advanced Scrum principles and practices, understanding the end-to-end use of JIRA. Now, it goes way beyond, the snippet Moses just showed you. End-to-end use. How can you even use JIRA to build a roadmap for your project? All right, how can you use JIRA to track the productivity of your team, to generate reports, like your metrics, your velocity, your burn up chart, your burn down chart, your lead time, your cycle time? There's so many wonderful things you can use JIRA for. How can you use, integrate AI in your JIRA? All right, now you're going to be learning everything end to end. You learn JIRA end to end, you learn Trello end to end, you learn how to use Confluence end to end, you learn how to, work on your critical path analysis using draw.io. You understand how to use all these different tools and software, and you don't need to have any prior knowledge or experience. I said it. You don't need to know anything before you come into the program. Absolutely beginner friendly. So we take it from the basics for you to make sure that you understand everything that you need to know. Then we move on to Kanban boards for workflow and management. Remember, earlier I talked about Scrum. Now, Scrum is just one of the popular frameworks. The second one is Kanban. So after learning Scrum end to end, you replicate for the Kanban framework and learn the Kanban framework end to end as well, from beginning to end, every single thing you need to know about Kanban, so that wherever you land tomorrow, whatever framework it is they're using, imagine you get a job as a project coordinator or a project manager, you get in there and then the CEO tells you, oh, in this company, we don't use Scrum, we use Kanban. You're able to adjust. You are not confused. So regardless of the framework that is used in these organizations, you are able to, make sense of it. And then we go into Agile metrics and reporting. So I mentioned earlier that there's so many things you can use your JIRA for. So you learn these different metrics that you can use to track different things. We call them KPIs, key performance indicators for your project. How do you track the health of your project? How do you know if this project is healthy? How do you know even if the project is, is for 12 months, the duration of the project is 12 months. How do you know that from the second month, you're like, hey, there is fire on the mountain, right? We are behind schedule. How do you know this? How are you able to track this using JIRA? Again, a lot of us on here, our goal is to get remote jobs, and it's possible. But have you ever stopped to wonder, when you get a remote job and you manage a distributed team, you're in the US, right? And you have team members in Canada, you're not seeing them. You have never met them face to face before. We just have to join a session like this. Everybody turns on their camera. Have you ever asked yourself, how do we keep this engine running? How do we actually know if people are getting their job done? Now that's where metrics like this come in. So it's 100% possible to get a job, a remote job as a project manager. I know, because I have remote jobs, as a project manager. So it is possible. But how are you able to track? Because if you don't know how to track it, your project will fall apart, right? It will fall apart and you will fail woefully. So how do you track all these metrics? How do you know if your team is being productive? Yes, you are in Canada and you have team members in Nigeria, but you're able to say, guys, we're not working. We can do better, right? Last week or, the last sprint, we didn't do great. This is what we can do. Let's do this and let's do that. How do you draw insight? Metrics like your velocity, your burn up charts, your burn down charts. I mentioned them earlier. You are able to learn how to generate and read all these different metrics, from JIRA, and also how to prepare reports for your stakeholders. All right. Next, we go into leadership and real world application, where you learn how to merge leadership and management, right? Two very different things, two very different concepts, but you need to have these two skills. Very important. You can't be a good manager if you're not a good leader. You can't be a good leader if you're not a good manager. So how do you merge the both of them? You learn about servant leadership. And then when I say real world application, what if I told you that every single thing I've been saying from the beginning, right? Talking about the methodologies, your business case, your feasibility study, your budget, all of that I've been saying, you're learning them using projects. So from your very first live class, you actually get assigned to projects. So it's not us coming here to tell you, okay, open your textbook to page 87 and read after me. No, you get projects. So you're practicing everything that you're learning. If you learn about Scrum, you get a project to practice with. Now, this will help you build your experience and also build your portfolio. I'm going to be showing you what a portfolio of one of our students here at Analytics looks like. So you can see the kind of projects that they get to work on, projects from different sectors of the economy, whether it's healthcare projects, AI projects. So, regardless of wherever you find yourself tomorrow, if they say, oh, we have an AI project, so do you have experience, managing AI projects? You're able to say, of course I do. Let me show you my portfolio. Let me show you some of the projects I've worked on. All right. And then if you're also looking to, get a professional certification at the end of the day, you're preparing for your PMP or your Prince 2, your PSM1 and CM, whatever, professional examination or certification you're trying to get. This program also helps to prepare you for that. So it's an all-rounded program, everything that you need to know embedded in one program. Now, what is the structure of the classes like? Right? You have a blended learning approach here. So we understand that, you probably have a family, you have a life outside of, the organization, outside of this learning, schedule. You probably have a family, or you're studying for your master's, or you have your work that you do. Maybe you work in, you're a support worker, you work shifts and all of that. So how do you manage that with your classes? That's where this blended learning approach comes in. So you have 2 live classes in a month, 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month. You get to join a session like this and you see your facilitator. Now, the difference is that you're able to raise up your hand. You raise up your hand, I call on you and you speak. You unmute your mic and you speak. Now you're in class. You can ask questions and you have your facilitator, someone like Moses, walking you through the different, different projects, is sharing your screen and is showing you. And if there's anything you don't understand, you can raise up your hand and say, oh, please, I don't understand how we got here. Please, can you do it again? Right? So you have 2 sessions like that in a month, live sessions. And we have 2 different timings for that to accommodate the different time zones. So, we also asked earlier, put in your name and where you're joining us from in the chat. So if you are in the European time zone, right, we have the morning class and the evening class. Now you're able to select which class is most convenient for you, right? So we have the morning class 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, and then the evening class from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. So you're able to say, I work in the mornings on Saturday, but I'll be free in the evening. So let me join the evening class. Or, I go to work in the evening on Saturdays, but I'll be free in the morning. Let me join the morning class. Now, regardless of whatever class you join, if for any reason you miss a session, even if you don't miss the session, just know that every session here at Analytics that requires you to join a meeting is recorded, just like this session. We're recording this session right now, so you can have access to the session and, watch a replay, listen to everything I'm saying, get access to the slides if you fill the attendance form, because we don't have your information. So we need your information, we need your email to be able to send it to you. However, if you're a participant, you have a Google Classroom, it's uploaded on the Classroom, you can just wake up and say, I missed the class yesterday, and you just log in on your Google Classroom and you have the replay of the session. Now, if you're watching the replay of the session and you have questions, there are 3 different avenues you can ask your questions. The first one is what we call pods. We have study groups. Now, study groups are very important because we have realized that, people learn better in groups. So you're not learning in isolation. There will be some things that you don't understand. Like it or not, we all have different strengths, right? So maybe this person understands more than you in class. If you have a question, you can just ask your study group. You might not want to go to the general group. You just want to ask your friend that, please, did you understand this? Can you explain it to me? That's the first avenue. Now, outside of the study group, we have a general closed WhatsApp group chat that you'll be in with your facilitator. All right. So if Elizabeth is your facilitator, for example, you have a group chat and you be in that group chat with Elizabeth. So if you are learning and you have a question and you need, a quick response to that question, you can go on the group chat and tag at Elizabeth, please, can you explain XXX to me? I didn't understand it, right? That's the second avenue. And the third one is what we call drop-in sessions. These are mini classes or mini sessions that we have during the week. Okay, and therefore questions. So you join a live session like this, but this time around, it's not about teaching. You are joining to say, please, I was trying to do something on Trello. I'm not getting, can I share my screen and show you? Can you explain this to me? Can you explain that to me? So these sessions are to provide guidance. And we have 2 drop-in sessions in a week. The ones on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. West African time, and the ones on Saturdays. So the Saturdays, when you don't have a live class, you have a drop-in session by 6 p.m. West African time. Again, all of these sessions are recorded. Now, outside the live classes, the drop-in sessions, you also have self-paced learning where you get videos that you are able to watch at your own pace, at your own time. right? So you, of course, you work, so you might not necessarily be able to join a class every single day, but there is a video that you can watch whenever you are free. Now, this structure I just explained is the same with business analysis. So if you're going for business analysis or project management, this is the structure of your classes. Now, the learning timeline for both programs is 8 months. So you have 6 months learning in class, and then you have 2 months of internship. But that does not mean that you have to wait 8 months in order for you to be able to land a job. That's the beauty of it. We have people, participants, real people like yourself, right? Flesh and blood that have gotten jobs while in the program. So it's possible. You can get a job 3 months in, you can get a job 4 months in. So it doesn't mean that, oh my God, 8 months, I have to wait 8 months so before I can land my dream role. You're able to get a job during the course of the program. Now, there are different careers you can start upon completing this program. You can become a project coordinator, a project manager, a scrum master, an agile coach, a lean project manager, whatever it is, all right? As long as it's related to project management, it is something that you can do. Okay, now, you must also build a portfolio to showcase your skills. Very, very important. I also have portfolios linked here, but let me show you one of our participants' portfolio. Her name is Elizabeth, just like myself, and this is what our portfolio looks like. Now, when we talk about having a portfolio, it's like a showroom. That's what you use to showcase your work and your experience. All right, this is what our portfolio looks like, and you're able to see all the different projects that she has worked on. So when Elizabeth is interviewing and she tells an interviewer, I have 5 years of experience, they say, wonderful. Can you walk us through some of the projects that you have done? She's able to show them this portfolio, housing different projects. Is it about the project charter? Is it about budgets? You can see all the details that you need to see about the project, as well as the documents, the documentation for the project linked. Now, you see what I said earlier when I said you are learning, using real world case studies and examples. So you're not just coming to class, you actually get to work on different projects. You're the project manager, work on different projects, and you build your portfolio. All right, so now let's just move on. Let's continue with the session. Okay, now let's move on to the business analysis for the business analyst in the house. What exactly is the job of a business analyst? What does a business analyst do? Now, simply put, as a business analyst, you're a process person. Think of yourself as a problem solver. Think of yourself as, a superhero, right? Organizations have processes. Every single organization, even here at Analytics, we have processes, all right? And these processes are put in place by business analysts. And then if we have a problem with any of our processes, if the process is not working as it should, there are different types of processes, even in small businesses, it doesn't matter how small your business is, you have processes in there. It could be the process, your customers use to order goods from you if you have an online business. It could be the process you use to deliver goods to your customer, different types of processes. Now, as a business analyst, your job is to optimize these processes, meaning you walk into an organization, you look at the processes and you're like, this process can be better. Let's make it better. All right. Now you're making it better, not just for the organization. You're also making it better for the customers that the organization serves. All right. So I'm going to give a very short, if you permit me, a very short story, but just to make sure that people are still listening to me. Maybe I'm talking too much. I want to see you put your favorite emoji in the chat. If you would like, I see Sheon says, I love this. Fantastic. If you would like to hear, this little story of, or analogy of the role of a business analyst, put an emoji in the chat. If not, I will take it that you don't want to hear anything, and then I'm going to move on. So put an emoji, your favorite emoji. It could be anything. It could be a thumbs up. It could be a heart. Put something in the chat so I know that you actually are interested in hearing what I have to say. So Fumi says, I want to. Amos says, ice cream. I still need more people. Abibat is giving me a thumbs up. Thank you, Abibat. One more person, and I'll tell my story. One more person. Give me an emoji and I'll tell my story. If not, we'll move on. Okay, go in. So nobody wants to hear this. I need just one more person to respond to me, and then I'm going to move on with the story.
They're giving lots of emojis in they're dropping
they're
lots of emojis.
reacting. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much for that, Moses. I can't see your reactions. I was looking at the chat. Okay, fantastic. Now let me proceed. I'm going to use banking system in Nigeria, because I saw a lot of people, put that they were joining from Lagos, Nigeria. So let's use the banking system. Now, when we talk about the banking system, it wasn't always, what we have now in Nigeria. Things have changed. I know things have changed, but way back it was different, right? We'll talk about the 1990s. A little story. I'm a storyteller. We'll talk about the 1990s. Way back in the 1990s, we didn't have ATM machines. I'm a Nigerian as well, okay? In case you were wondering. We didn't have ATM machines in the 1990s. So we got our, ATM machines around 1992. But even when we got it, it wasn't as accessible as it is right now. ATMs. So, right now, I'm sure in Nigeria, I'm sure it has, improved. And I'm sure different streets, on each street, you'll see at least 3 to 5 ATMs. But before, back in the day, when I remember it, it wasn't always like that. So when they brought in the ATMs in, around 1992 to 1995, it still wasn't the most accessible. So meaning that the nearest ATM could be streets away or miles away. You have to, board a means of transportation, a bus or something to get to the nearest ATM. And even this ATM, people didn't really know how to use it. So what this meant was that for every single thing you needed to do with your money, it doesn't matter how little, that money is, whether it's 1,000 naira, 500 naira, back then 500 naira was a lot of money. You need to go into the bank. So if you have your money with the bank, you want to send 500 naira to your brother living in another state or even within the same state. So some people here are in Lagos, they're joining from Lagos, Nigeria. So imagine you are in one part of Lagos, you have a sibling in another, part of Lagos, and you want to send money to that sibling, you have to go into the bank. Now, what this meant was that the banking halls were always full. Every day you wake up, there are queues in the bank, a lot of people everywhere in the bank. And, the process used to be back then, right? If I remember correctly, you walk into the bank. When you walk into the bank, the first thing you do is you join a queue. A very long queue. You could spend hours on this queue. And then when it gets to your turn, you get to the counter and they will ask you questions. They'll say, oh, what do you want to do? How much do you want to send? Who do you want to send to? They ask you a series of questions. And once they're satisfied with your responses, they give you a form or a slip, a withdrawal form, a deposit form, depending on what you want to do. And in typical Nigerian fashion, you look around, please, do you have a pen? Please, do you have a pen? You go and sit down somewhere and fill the form. Now, this queue, sometimes you spend hours on the queue. I remember back then, my mother would wake up very early. Banks used to resume operations, maybe 8 a.m., around 8 a.m. I don't know if that's changed now, but around 8 a.m., they open for the day. Now, my mother would wake up 6 a.m. You're saying, oh, the banks are not open yet. You say, don't worry, I know why I'm going by this time. So she wake up 6 a.m. so that 7 o'clock, 7:30, she's at the gate of the bank and she will sit down there and wait till they open. Why? Because she's trying to ensure that she doesn't waste too much time. She's able to get what she wants done, because sometimes you go to the bank, you're not able to do what you need to do, at the bank in record time. You have to now come back the next day to complete it. Now, I explained the process. You join that queue. Once you get the form, you fill the form, then you have to now join another long queue to carry out that transaction. 2 queues. All right, just to make a transaction of 500 naira, 1,000 naira. Now, a business analyst walked into this banking sector. The business analyst looked at this process, said, no, 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 we can make it better. Come on, this cannot work. Because why are we telling people to join a queue just to give them a form? Is there no better way we can do this? And the business analyst sat down and thought of a different process, a better process, and said, okay, instead of asking them to join a queue, how about we do it this way? How about we have several different counters or tables strategically positioned around the banking lobby, right? And we have different types of forms on these tables. Now, nobody has to stand at the table. We just have empty tables, you put forms on them, and then you now have a security personnel that stands at the door of that bank. So once a customer walks in and says, oh, good morning, ma'am, what would you like to do today? And the person says, oh, I would like to make a deposit. You just say, okay, please, can you see that table by your left? Please go to that table, pick up a form there and fill the form. Or go to that table by your right, pick up a form there and fill the form. Chicken, just like that, right? So you have now eliminated, the business analyst eliminated that first long you have to spend that form. It's process. I think that this process was not too much of a hassle but it changed things. It made things better, not just for the cashiers, not just for the bank, but also for the customers of the bank. That is the job of a business analyst. And as time went on, we got mobile banking applications. So at least you download an app from the comfort of your home. You are able to also carry out certain transactions. You don't always have to go to the bank. Now, that is the job of a business analyst. You make processes better. Now you're going to be learning tools like how to do process mapping, how to map out your different processes using tools like Lucidchart, Agile.io. Now, business analysis is actually the most versatile program we have here at Analytics because it has an advantage that the project management program does not have. Now, there are pros and cons. You can wait. You can you can specialize in project management and say, I want to learn every single thing that there is to learn about project management. Or you can go for business analyst, which also has elements of project management embedded in it. So what we did was we embedded project management as well as data analytics in the business analysis program. So it's 3 for the price of 1. 3 different programs: business analysis, agile project management, data analytics, all wrapped in a little box tied with a bow and called the business analysis program. Now, upon taking this program, what it means is you are able to land a job as a project manager. You're able to land a job as a business analyst, and you're also able to land some jobs as a data analyst. Now, of course, you borrowed these tools from these people. You went to borrow, because I like to call business analysts borrow people. You went to borrow from the data analyst. You borrowed Excel, SQL, Power BI, and you're learning it from scratch, right? You learn how to use it like a data analyst. You also went into project management and you borrowed some tools from them. Now, you will not be as good as someone who went into the project management program and specialized in project management, but you have enough knowledge to get you through, the entire job hunting process, and you can land a job as a project manager. Again, remember, when you borrow something, you don't use it as much as the original user would use it, all right? But it's able to give you that leverage. You can work as a business analyst, you can work as a project manager, and you can work as a data analyst as well. All right, now I explained the learning process to you. You have the Saturday live classes, you have your drop-in sessions, and your self-paced learning, just the same as it is in project management. And there are so many different careers you can also start upon completing this program. You can get a job as a process automation analyst, a business process analyst, business systems analyst, business architect, so many different, career paths that you can venture into after completing the program. All right. Now, you also have a portfolio here. Once you get the slides, fill the form again. Once you get the slides, you are able to have access to those portfolios and take a look at it by yourself. Now, I know there are some people that know what they want to do, there's some people here that don't, and that is okay. Now, if after everything I'm saying, you are confused, you're like, should I go for business analysis or should I go for Fumi says I changed my answer to BA. Fumi, don't run. Come back to PM. Okay? Come back to PM. Abibat is true. Business analysts, they borrow too much. All right? So if you are still confused, I have a quiz for you. It's going to take you 2 minutes, and it's a fun quiz. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and my colleagues are also going to be dropping the link to the quiz as well. This link I just put in the chat, you can click on this link. Once you click on the link, you'll be able to, you get asked a series of questions, and then you'll know which one is perfect for you, business analysis or project management. So just go ahead. If you're confused, go ahead to click on that link and you get, more insights. All right, let's move on. What is the strategy that you need that will land you a job in 2026? I think 2026 because 2025 is over, but you can land a job January. Let's talk about the 2026 sets. I like to call them sets. 2025 sets, they have graduated. Let's talk about the 2026 set. You can be amongst the first people. January, February, you're landing a new job, a dream job, earning 6 figures. Now, how do you make that happen? What is the strategy that you need? The first thing you need to do is you need to learn. All right. Select the program you want to go for, business analysis or agile project management, and register for it. That's the first thing you need to do. You cannot get into a job market that you don't even understand. You don't have the skills. You need the skills. You need to learn those skills. So the very first thing you learn. The second thing you do is your position. We have Nigerians here, even if a lot of us now, we are no longer in Nigeria, but at least you understand when I say packaging. You understand what I mean by packaging. You have to package yourself very well. And that's where positioning comes in. You're only able to get some opportunities if you position yourself as someone who knows what to do. Just amen somebody. You need to position yourself very well. You can have the skills. You can learn and just sit in your house and you won't get a job. But if you package yourself very well, and I'm going to be talking more about that, in coming slides, once you package yourself, you know how to make yourself look very beautiful and shiny. In fact, to be shining from a distance. If recruiters are looking for people to hire, they just see something shining from a distance and they're like, I'm interested. Let me see what this person has to offer. That's positioning. Now, the third thing you want to do is you want to apply. After you package yourself very well, you package your CV, you package your portfolio, you start applying to jobs. Quality applications, you apply like a machine. I tell people, in order to get a job, it is a numbers game. Don't just apply to one job and be waiting. Apply to multiple jobs, all right? And then you are able to at least get a few of them. You apply to 1,000 jobs, 10 people call you back for interviews. We prep you for those interviews. By the time we prep you, once you get into the, in fact, you'll be wondering, I have 3 offers. Which one should I pick? That is how you get a job. All right, now let's move on from this. It always seems impossible until this is done. There are a lot of different people. This is a strategy that is tested and trusted. We didn't just sleep and wake up and said, let's tell people to do this. A lot of people have done this before you. We have trained over 3,500 people. In fact, not trained. We have helped over 3,500 people land a job. We have helped over 3,500 people land a job. How did we do that? Let's look at some success stories. We have, Esther, the story of Esther. Every time I say the story of Esther, it sounds like something from the Bible, the Holy Book. But, Esther is someone like you and I. Esther was in my class and the project management program. She had no background in tech while she was in Nigeria, and she moved to the UK. She started a job working as a carer in the UK, but she knew that, look, I want more for myself. I don't want to, stay in this, care job. I want more for myself. So what did Esther do? The first thing she did was to learn. All right. Remember the strategy I shared? You learn, you position, and you apply. The first thing Esther did was she learned. She joined the Agile Project Management Program in April 2025, a few months back. She joined, and while she was working, she was also taking the program. The second thing she did was to package herself. Now, she made sure she tailored her CV. We worked on her CV for her. She also learned how to do it by herself. She joined all the mentorship sessions that we had, teaching her how to do this, how to optimize your LinkedIn, how to, optimize your Upwork profile, all of these things. She was joining. Esther was gathering knowledge, right? Then she also got prepped for multiple interviews. I prepped her for interviews. Every time Esther got an interview, Esther would schedule a meeting on my calendar and for that interview. So it doesn't matter. Even if you get 20 interviews, we'll prep you 20 for those interviews. You see that 2026 sets, you must be among them. All right, she got prepped for interviews. The next thing Esther did was to apply. She learned, she packaged herself, and then she started applying. So we also sent her a lot of links to, exclusive jobs. She was applying. Esther was applying everywhere. Esther would go on Indeed, apply. LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Analytics job board. Everywhere she was applying. Now, what happened after she did that? Esther landed a job 4 months into the program. Now, remember I said earlier, you don't have to wait 8 months to land a job. 4 months into the program, in July, on the 1st of July, 2025, Esther got an offer letter. She joined in April. She got a job offer in July. She landed a job, with the civil service in the UK, and she is working on a hybrid schedule. 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. All right, 4 months into the program. Now let's move on to Toyin. All right, Toyin had a job already, but she didn't like what she was doing. Yes, she had a job, right? But a lot of people want that job fulfillment. She didn't like, she knew she wanted something more exciting. So she wanted something also more rewarding, something that would pay her more. Toyin joined our Agile Project Management Program in February 2025, and she got a job in September 2025. Okay, as a project coordinator with the Daughters of Africa in Canada. Esther was in the UK. She landed a job. Same strategy. Toyo is in Canada. She landed a job. Same strategy. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. As long as you can apply this strategy, you'll be able to land a job. All right. Of course, all these interviews are linked here, so you can go there and watch them. Look at Judith. Also, she landed a job as a business analyst. Now, there's so many of them. So many. I can have a 5-hour session just talking about our success stories, because imagine helping over 3,000 people. That means there are 3,000 stories to share. I can't share all. but they are linked on the slide. So once you get the slide, once you fill the attendance form and you get the slide, make sure to, just go over all the different, testimonials that link. So you see these people speaking. It's not Elizabeth sharing their story. You listen to Esther share a story. Listen to Esther share experience, listen to Toyin share experience, listen to Judith share experience, and so many other people, even Hope. All right. Hope also, landed a job in Canada as well. So you listen to all these different people, and then you are able to see with no prior experience. Now, what do you need to do to land a job? Here at Analytics, there's something we call the job offer formula. Very simple, very easy. It's called T plus E, simple addition. All right. You don't need to do too much. Just have T, have E, join it together. Now, the T stands for technical skills. You see, when we say technical skills, we're talking about, I know how to map processes. Oh, I know how to use JIRA. I know how to use Trello. I know how to write user stories. I know how to work on a business case. That's your technical skills. That's 50% of what you need. Now, the other 50% is the employability skills. Earlier I talked about packaging. Now I'm going to show you and explain exactly what that packaging means. When we talk about employability skills, you need that to add to what you're currently doing. How do you stand out? Yes, you're learning how to use JIRA, but so is 100 other people. So if you and 100 people apply for the same job, how do you get called back for that job? That's where your employability skills come in. That's where packaging comes in. Now, how do you package? The first thing we do is we review your CV and we revamp it for you. So we're actually going to be working on your CV for you. You don't have to stress yourself. I don't care what your background is. 2 months into the program. So for example, if you join the next class starting on the 8th of November, by the end of December, okay, it's the festive season. A lot of people might not really want to apply. But by the end of December, we will ask you, submit your CV. We'll work on it and we'll send it back to you. Now, once we send it back to you, we say, start applying to jobs. All right. So you start applying to jobs. Now we make sure your CV is ATS friendly. All right. So once you apply to jobs, no applicant tracking system is flinging out the CV. Your CV is getting to the desk of a recruiter. They're looking at your CV. You have your portfolio linked on your CV. Now tell me how you would not get a call back. All right. The next service is the LinkedIn optimization sessions, where we teach you how you can position yourself. Again, packaging. How do you position yourself on LinkedIn so that, yes, you're applying to jobs, but then one day you're just going about your business and then you get a DM. You get a direct message on LinkedIn from someone you don't know before. And when you open the message, you see that this person is a recruiter. And they're like, wow, I came across your profile. I'm really, impressed. We're currently looking for a business analyst in our company. Please, I would like to know if you're available, if you would like to join us for an interview. Just like that. Now, I've had a lot of people that have landed jobs like this on LinkedIn. A job they did not apply to. They got called that, please, we like what we are seeing. We would like to interview you to know if you're a good fit because we have a vacancy in our organization. The next session, navigating the job market, where we have trained professionals, people with years of experience, wealth of experience, come back and teach you how to navigate this job market you're about to enter. It's brand new. A lot of people don't know how to go about it. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. Now we are going to come back. We have people that have taken the program, people like Esther, people like Hope, people like Judith. You have seasoned professionals, people with 8 years of experience. They come back and they tell you what the job market looks like. So now you're not just going in blind. You get, I like to call it expo. They give you expo on what to do, how to navigate, how to go about it, how to land a job fast. They come and tell you, this is what I did that helped me land a job in 3 months. If you can apply this strategy, apply here, do this and do that. That's what you'll also be able to land a job on time. So you get to learn from people's experiences. You're not just getting into the job market blindly. Next is interview preparatory sessions. Like I said earlier, it does not matter. If you land 50 interviews, right? Book a session. If Moses is your facilitator, book Moses 50 times. Don't worry. We won't complain. We're here to prep you for that interview as well. It doesn't matter how many times. So every time you get an interview, you send us the details of that interview, the name of the organization, the role, the job description. We will do a lot of research and come back and say, Abibat, you see this company you applied to, get your pen and paper. These are the kind of questions they will ask you. Now, Abibat, if they ask you this question, I want you to respond to it this way. This is what you should say. This is how you should say it. This is where you should frame your answer. Now, what this does for you is by the time you're going into the actual interview, you are like 70% ready, right? You have some answer. So once they throw it to you, you give it back to them. You answer the question. If they say this, you say, Can I show you some of the projects I've worked on? You share your screen, you show them your portfolio. Now you exude confidence. By the time you're not shaking anymore because you have had series of prep sessions with your facilitator and you are ready for that interview. The next is job reference letter. If you land a job, okay, they tell you, give us references. We need somebody to, we need to vet you. We need to do our background check. We need somebody to say, oh, I've worked with Abibat before. I've worked with Fumi before. And I know Fumi is a nice person. She knows exactly what she's doing. Okay. Now, if you have someone like that or you need something like that, we are 100% available to book, to help you, provide a reference letter for you, recommend you to that organization. Next, on the job support. Now, sometimes, when you land a job, you really, sometimes the first month especially might be hard. You're trying to settle in, they give you some tasks. You're like, how do I go about this task? You can come here, come back to Analytics, book a one-on-one session, and we will prep you for that. We'll give you insights, we, provide guidance on how you can also go about, all of those different tasks, how you can execute that task on the job. Now, the next is weekly mentorship sessions. We have mentorship sessions, like the name implies, every single week. You have mentors. I mean, you need mentors. You need people that have walked that path to come back and tell you how to do it, what to do, get your head in the right, space. And then finally, Upwork sessions for people who are, they're looking to get freelancing gigs, right? You don't want a full-time role. You just want, you want to be collecting $100 here, £100 here, £150 here, £250 here. You also learn how you can utilize your Upwork profile, optimize your Upwork profile as well. All right, more success stories. Look at Lois. Lois was an accountant. She joined the business analysis training program. Now I want you to listen. Lois took the business analysis program and she secured a job as a project manager in the UK after completing it. So like I said earlier, you are able, if you take the business analysis program, you're still able to get a job as a project manager. Ngozi also had no background in tech. She was in customer service. She joined the business analysis program. She got a job as a business analyst in the UK, working remotely. All of these people, you can see their pictures here. They have only one head, not two. So if they can do it, you can also do it as well. So let's just gloss over these so I don't spend too much time. Let's go past all of these success stories. Let's just go past them. Once you get the slide, you're able to, watch all of them. Now, how do you get started? We have a new class starting on the 8th of November, 2025. That's next month. Okay, on the 8th, there is a new cohort starting and we have a discount currently running, 25% discount, okay? Early bird discount. Now, for people who are able to register between now and the 31st of October, 2025, instead of paying 1,000 US dollars, you get to pay 750 US dollars. Between now and, so it's not for everybody. All right, not everybody would get to access this. But if you can make your payments between now and the 31st, instead of 1,000 US dollars, you pay 750 US dollars. And the beautiful part of it is you don't have to pay everything. You can split your payment for as many as 5 months. So yes, I have 550 US dollars, but I don't have money. I have 150 US dollars though. You can start your classes. Okay. So let me show you what that looks like and how you can go about it. So my colleagues are sharing the link to, secure your spots right now. I see my colleague, Iyanolu, I just put the link to secure your spots, with this discount. Now, let me show you what it looks like. Once you click on that link, this is what you're going to see. Let me show you. Give me a minute. Okay. So once you click on the link that Iano just put in the chat, this is exactly what you see. So it takes you to the Analytics website where you see a list of all the programs that we offer. Data analytics, business analysis, financial analytics. Don't be confused by the noise. Just identify the program of interest. If you want to become a business analyst, you click on business analysis. If you want to become a project manager, you click on Agile project managers. So just select the program you like to go for. Say you want to become a project manager. This is the Agile project management program. You click on buy now and it shows you every single thing you need to know about the program. The course description, the minimum number of projects you get to work on, at least 8. You could work on more than 8, but you get at least 8 projects to work on. Everything, the course curriculum, who your facilitators would be, right? Who would take you through this training? You have experienced professionals like Moses will take you through the training. The job opportunities are available to you as well. Now, once you are done reading all of this, you want to go ahead to select your pricing, your preferred pricing plan. So see right here, it says, if you want to enroll now, just click on enroll now, and you're going to be asked to create a free account. So it's going to ask you for your full name, email address, as well as your phone number. That's all. All right, your full name, your email address, and your phone number. So it's going to take you less than 1 minute. Now, once you create your free account, you'll be able to confirm your enrollment. All right. So you are able to also register in advance. So even if you want to start in December, you are busy in November. November is too soon. I like to start in December, but I don't want to miss this discount. You can do that. So you're able to select when you'd like to start as well. So give me a minute. Let me refresh this site. You're able to select when you'd like to start. All right. So if you'd like to start, with the November class, you can select November. If you'd like to start with the December class, you can select December. Now, you are able to register in advance, like I said earlier, and you have payment options. So depending on where you are able to pay in your local currency. So if you are in the UK, you pay in pounds. If you're in the US, you pay in USD. If you're in Canada, Canadian dollars, and so on and so forth. If you're in Ghana, you pay in cedis. If you're in Nigeria, you pay in Naira. All right. So you see the pricing in your local currency, and that would help you make your decision. Now, like I said earlier, you're able to split your payments for as many as 5 times. So say you say, oh, I'm hearing about the discount right now. I want to start my class in November, on the 8th of November, but I don't have $750. Can I start? All you need is $150. A commitment of $150. You start your classes on the 8th of November. Tell them I said that. Tell them Elizabeth told you that. All right. So once you select a 5 monthly installment, what it means is that you're committing that, yes, I'm going to start this program in November. I'm going to start applying to jobs. I'm going to start working on projects. I'm going to get all the benefits, right? But I'm not paying everything all at once. So I'll be paying $150 every month for 5 months. That's what it means. So you're getting all the benefits. And it's possible, very possible that, your 3rd month or your 4th month, you get a job, your first paycheck clears everything that you paid for your tuition. So it is that simple. Nothing good comes easy, but at least you're able to get in with $150. So if you want to go with 3 installments, 4 installments, it depends on you. Now, for people who want to pay once or twice, you get an extra discount. So instead of $750, you get to pay $712. And the reason is simple. It's a lot of money. Now, if you choose to pay all at once, we're going to say, wow, and give you an extra discount. So if you're paying all at once or you're paying 2 times, you get an extra discount. Instead of $750, you get $712. But once you start to pay 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times, you will be paying, $750. Now, once you do this, you want to click on apply discount. Now, let me show you. That's not all. Analytics, they're too kind. We're too kind. Now you get a full breakdown of, what your payment is going to look like. So when your next payment is going to be due. So for example, you're paying today, 29th of November. You don't want to miss out on this discount. Then your next payment will be due on the 29th of November, the subsequent one on the 29th of December, and so on and so forth. Now, if the 29th is not a convenient date for you, you're like, I have the money right now. I can pay my first installment, but by next month, on the 20th, I don't get paid on the 29th. I get paid on the last day of the month, maybe on the 30th. Or I even get paid on the first day of the next month. So that's when it will be convenient for me. I won't have money on the 29th. You're able to select your preferred payment date. Right here, we see edit date. So once you click on edit date, you can say, okay, I don't want to pay on the 29th. I want to be paying on the 1st of every month. And you save that. Now, what it just did is that it updated your next, payment date for you. So you can make it convenient. Okay. So once you select that, you want to go ahead, confirm all of your information is correct, and go ahead to pay with your card. All right. Easy peasy. Remember, between now and the 31st of October. And there is no guarantee that it will even last till the 31st because it's only available to 20 people. All right. So what it means is if 20 people pay now, the discount is over. It ends on the 29th if 20 people pay now. So you don't even want to wait till the 31st. You want to get in as soon as you can so that you don't come to the site and then you see 1,000 and you're like, but Elizabeth told me it was 750. Once you see that, it means the discount has ended. So I always tell people, grab your copy now, as soon as you can, because if you wait too long, you might need to pay extra. All right. So now I am done with my presentation. We still have so many things linked on this slide. You can see the certificates that you'll be getting, every single thing that you need to know, different, wonderful you need to know about. So go through this one, check. Let I know as it says use BA. Okay, I'm guessing is when I was showing you how to register. But for me says honestly, just one head. Those people that got jobs, they only have one head. They don't have two, they don't have three. You are also able to do that because I'm sure everybody on this call has one head. But if you have two, you can indicate. If you have two, what it just means is that you also be able to get a job faster than the people that had one head. But just know that everybody that got a job, they're just like you. They're beginners, A lot of them came with no experience at all. Still checking the questions. Boro if you're going for you're from data and you have answered my questions. I don't want PM again. Wow, for me, I feel betrayed. Okay, I feel betrayed. You're leaving PM and going to BA. It is well. You're going to borrow with them. Okay, so I don't see any questions in the chat. I think I've answered all the questions. So like my colleague just put in the chat, Fafa says, is this session recorded and can it be shared? Yes, Fafa. So I'm guessing you're just joining the session. Please fill the attendance form. Iyanolua, please share the link to the attendance form with Fafa. Just respond under his chat, share the attendance form so you can fill it. Now, Fafa, once you fill the attendance form, we'll have access to your email, right? We'll have your email address. So we'll just send the recording to you. It's always recorded. Dio says, I click on the link from Nigeria, but it shows dollars. Not to worry, go ahead to create your accounts, Dio. So I'm guessing you have not created your account yet. Now, once you create your account, you register with your Nigerian number, you get to this point. You need to get to this point. Let's go back. You need to get to this point. Now, once you get to the point where you're confirming your enrollment, you are going to see the payment options in Naira. Okay. And if you don't, you see right here, where you see currency. So you could be in Nigeria, but you have a USD card and you want to pay in USD, you can actually select a currency of choice. So where you see currency, just click on it and you select if you want to pay in Naira. So you see, I just changed the currency to Naira. So you have nothing to worry about. If you want to pay in Canadian dollars or in euros, you select euros, the currency changes. So not to worry, you can set all of that on the site right here where you have the currency selector. All right. So fill the attendance form if you want the recording to this session. Can I pay for 2 months stretch? Wonderful, Chidozie. Yes, you can. Just go ahead to do it immediately. Fumi says select pounds. Let me show you what pounds looks like. So go ahead to do it right now. Select the 2 monthly installments. So what this means is you're selecting this. If you're paying in pounds, you're saying, I want to pay 295 and 292 pounds right now. You start your classes in November. Easy peasy. You can even pay once. You can pay 5 times. You can pay 4 times. The choice is yours. Just select the one that is most convenient for you, the one you like, the one that is calling your name. Select that payment plan and go ahead to make your payments. All right. So I hope I've answered your question, Chidozie. Abibat says, are we able to learn on our own on the LMS platform before coming to class? Yes, Abibat, you are. In fact, that is what we encourage. All right. Abibat is disguising with all of you here. Abibat has my direct number. She's asking questions that she knows the answers to, but that's fine. Okay, so yes, you're able to learn on the LMS platform before coming to class at all. You have videos, you listen to your facilitator, you watch all of these videos. When you come to class, you already have questions ready to ask, and it makes you understand the learning faster. Okay, Fumi says, yeah, so go ahead, secure your spot. I'm looking forward to seeing you in class on the 8th of November or on the 6th of December, but make sure to register your spot. I don't want to hear anybody calling me or, trying to book a session and say, please, I tried to register, but I saw 1,000 US dollars. Make sure to get in as soon as you can. Chidozie says, can I get the link to the payments on the chat? Iyanolua, if you're there, please share the link right now with Chidozie. Okay, so Chidozie, I'm also going to just respond to your comments right now, share the link with you. Fumi says, if I already work as a DA, is it still cool to switch to BA? Yes, it is, Fumi. A lot of questions tonight. I'm happy to take all your questions. Yes, it is very possible. You can do whatever you like. All right. You are the CEO of your life for me. If you wake up and say, I want to do project management, you can switch. Okay. So yes, go ahead, register, and then you are good to go. Thank you so much, everybody. I see there are no more questions for me. Chidozie, make sure you click on that link that was shared with you right now. Click on it, go ahead, create your account, and make payment right now. Okay. I people on the call. So that means people paid tonight. I can down the sites right now. Please try again. This is showing Naira. This is what it looks like in Naira. You can take a screenshot or just go to the site and check it by yourself. You see it in Naira. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Fumi. Fumi says great session. Fumi, you're my namesake, by the way. So I look forward to seeing you in class on the 8th of November or the 6th of December. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. For staying with me for 2 hours, please go ahead to enjoy the rest of your day. Feel free to drop off and I'll see you when I see you. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye for now.